Ooh, this is so awesome. Finally get to see the man himself come back to be a lead in this awesome franchise again. Okay, I'm gonna try to stay calm. Although I do have to agree with that person on YouTube meme.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Okay. Let's just get on with the introduction. Hey guys, it's Daniel here, back with a new video. Now, I'm recording this video a little late at night. It's not too late. It's like about 10 o'clock right now as I'm recording this. So, I'll try not to be too excited with this video because I'm just here to talk about my pure thoughts on the pilot episode of this spin-off series that has the return of the GOAT of The Walking Dead himself. I think you know what I'm talking about, because today I'm here to talk about the first episode of the new spin-off in the Walking Dead universe, The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live. Episode 1 that is titled Years, and yes, it has been years since we've seen this man, because, oh my god, I think the first thing you guys are going to want to hear about is my reaction to seeing the return and the main character of Rick Grimes. So, yes guys, Rick Grimes has officially returned to the Walking Dead franchise as a main character again. Andrew Lincoln has slipped back into the shoes of the good old grimy boy himself, Ricky Boy, and I am so happy. This was a fantastic episode. Compared to some other spin-offs in Walking Dead, I mean, I liked the previous spin-offs, like Dead City and Daryl Dixon, but compared to Fear or World Beyond or Tales, this pilot episode is probably my favourite pilot episode to a Walking Dead spin-off. Is it better than Days Gone By? I don't know about that. I mean, Days Gone By is iconic because that was the real introduction to Rick Grimes, but this reintroduction was just as amazing. So, if you can't tell already, lots of spoilers because we are about to see Rick and Michonne come back to the franchise again, and this is the episode that starts it out in a entirely Rick-centric episode, because this is basically Rick's episode, basically. And I like that because it goes back to the pilot of the main show, where it was mainly focusing on Rick trying to get used to the apocalypse, but this time it's Rick trying to get used to the CRM, and that's the first thing I should mention. So, if you can't remember, going back to Season 9, Episode 5, Rick's last episode in The Walking Dead, he was leading a horde towards this bridge, hoping to get rid of them, but the bridge wouldn't break, so he had to sacrifice himself by blowing the bridge up with his cult python, and everybody, Daryl, Michonne, Maggie, Carol, everybody believed that he died, saving Alexandria. But Jadis found him and took him to the CRM with the help of someone in a helicopter, and he was nowhere to be seen for years. Now, we finally get to see what Rick's been doing all of these years. Because it turns out that Rick is working for the CRM as kind of a prisoner, but also just someone who can get rid of walkers. So, he's trying to get rid of some walkers, but one of the times he's getting rid of walkers, he has to do something drastic, because this is apparently, I think, his fourth time trying to escape the CRM, because we learned that he's been trying to escape the CRM 4 times throughout the years, but he's never managed to get away. This time, he's handcuffed to the CRM soldier as he goes out to take care of some walkers, and this is when we get the big moment that everybody who has been fans of The Walking Dead, as well as The Walking Dead comics, have been waiting for, and this is it. Rick Grimes has officially lost his hand. And I thought that was a really crazy scene, because Rick has to chop his hand off in order to escape the CRM by escaping the handcuffs, and then he has to put that disarmed, arm onto, into the fire of this walker in order to stop, a bit of a spread, or maybe, soothe the pain or get rid of the blood and all that stuff. And Andrew Lincoln's performance there, you can tell that he is in pain, but but he's also just trying to like keep it in him and not let it get out. And I thought that they really did a fantastic job at writing this scene, as well as Andrew's performance, which that's probably the greatest thing about this episode, is Rick himself and the performance by Andrew Lincoln. You can tell that Andrew Lincoln loves the Rick character, so when he comes back, he immediately slips right back into that character. He's been a part of the franchise for a very, very long time. He was in the main show for about 8 years, and then he retired from the character just for a little bit, came back in the series finale of the show, rest in peace, which if you saw my video discussing that final episode, you know that I thought that was a fantastic return, and now he's back as a main character again. It's one of the reasons why Rick Grimes is like top 5, maybe even top 3 favorite Walking Dead characters. Like, I can't decide which one's better, like Morgan or Negan or any others, but I thought that they did a fantastic job with Rick in this episode. Anyway, getting back to the episode, we get to see Rick trying to escape with his hand gone, but it's unfortunately not the great time, because then a CRM soldier then shoots him with a taser. He tases him and takes him back. And, man, I really wish he would escape and get back to his family. CRM are such douches. And this is what we get to see throughout the episodes, is that we get to see both how kind of ruthless, but also how effective the CRM can have, because we get introduced to multiple characters. 3 new characters in particular. The main one that we see in this episode is this one character named Donald, the CRM soldier that actually sees some benefit in Rick, sees leadership, and actually wants to help Rick to find a way to go against the CRM and to make sure that he stays alive. And we learn later on why he's doing this, but the way they do it here, I was quite surprised, because when I first saw this character in the trailers for this show, I assumed that he was just going to be this cold-hearted, like, he don't give a crap about anybody, he don't give a damn about anybody kind of character. But no, he is actually human. He's human, he has his regrets now and again, he has remorse for Rick, and honestly, you do kind of feel sorry for him, and I'll talk about it later on. But we get Donald. The other character that Rick mainly talks to in this episode is this woman named Pearl Thorne. She was a CRM kind of prisoner or slave, like Rick was, and then she, like Rick, rose up the ranks and became soldiers. There's something kind of mysterious about this character. We're not exactly sure what exactly she's like. I mean, granted, at first she starts off as a very whiny woman, like, I don't give a about your crimes. You're being so, like, I don't give a damn. I'm just gonna drink myself senseless until I die. She starts off that way, and yeah, at first she did come off as a bit annoying, although I feel like that's kind of like been because of the effect of the CRM. But then later on we get to learn a bit more about her, and we get to see a few of the actions that she does to try to keep Rick alive, which I can respect that. And you can tell that she's both trying to keep Rick alive but also keep her faith in the CRM. And while I feel like, okay, she's technically being an idiot, she is kind of wrong. I don't know why you're thinking that Omaha is a sign that CRM is good when they're the ones that caused it, but maybe she doesn't know that yet. But it will be interesting to see this character later on the line to get more about what exactly she's like. But for now, I think she's kind of interesting. And the third new character that Rick comes across, oh boy, he only gets one scene, but I can already tell he's going to be a big character, because we get the new big baddie of The Walking Dead and the head of the CRM himself, Major General Beale, played by Terry O'Quinn. Now, I know that Terry O'Quinn is like a really big actor, and everybody loves him, mainly for his performance as John Locke in the show Lost. Although, I have never seen Lost, and I haven't seen a lot of the other stuff that Terry O'Quinn is in. Maybe I did, I just haven't recollected it, but I haven't really seen exactly how good of an actor Terry O'Quinn is. But I will say this, so far, I think he's fantastic at bringing this villain to life, and I think what makes him more interesting as a villain in this one scene is that, well, he's trying not to act like a villain, because he's really just talking to Rick as a casual leader or something, talking about like, oh, I've seen all of these things, and I want to ask you, do you think that these people are going up against me? And right when Rick says no, Beale says no at the same time, so it feels like, yeah, Beale is definitely 2 steps ahead of Rick. And I think that when it comes to Beale in this scene, it's kind of like he's taken like the pretend to be nice leader persona of the governor from season 3, mixed in with a bit of the charisma and quips and witty lines of Negan, while also kind of having like the fierce look of both. And I think that Beale is definitely going to be a different kind of threat to Rick, because when it comes to like some of Rick's biggest enemies in the show, like take Negan and the Governor for example. When the Governor is first introduced to Rick, can tell that something is off, yet the Governor is still trying to convince him that he's not the man that Rick thinks he is. With Negan, however, Negan immediately proves to Rick that he is a formidable threat, and he punishes Rick and his friends, and man, that was probably like the most brutal encounter with a villain. And then we have this encounter with Rick and Beale is probably being the least noticeable villain to Rick, because he's not acting like a villain. And I thought Terry did a fantastic job, especially Terry and Andrew in this scene were fantastic, especially when Terry asks, "Do you want to kill, or do you want to die? Or do you think that this is another attempt to escape?" And then we have the awesome line from Rick, "Look at my eyes, sir. You tell me." Yeah, good Rick impression, right? But, I thought the scene was fantastic, and we get to see throughout the years of Rick trying to escape the CRM, well, not exactly escape the CRM, plan a giant escape to the CRM, and he almost does at this, like, abandoned chemical place, but then has to stop when walkers come after him and he sees a little girl, and then he has to bail from that escaped plan, and that really takes a toll on him, and he believes that Donald is the one who causes this, because we find out that Donald actually knows a lot about Rick because of the letter that Rick wrote at the end of the main series. Like, remember that letter that Rick was writing when he showed up for his appearance in the final episode, and he was writing that thing to Michonne and then threw it into the river in a bottle? Well, I could be wrong about this, I might have to watch the scene again, but I'm guessing that Donald saw that letter and knows a lot about Michonne and Judith, and it seems like he's using that against Rick, so of course Rick gets angry and starts kicking him around, but then Donald has to put him down to the ground, and this is the scene where I feel like Donald really stood out as a character, is when he talks about so much about his backstory, where he had to do things for the CRM that cost the lives of his family and multiple people, and you could tell, like, the actor who plays Donald in this scene, I think that he was fantastic. I mean, he's only in 1 episode, and oh crap, can't jump the gun there. Although this is a spoiler review, but he is only in 1 episode, and he can already act, and I thought that the actor did a fantastic job. At least that's one of the biggest things that Donald explains in the scene. Let's talk about the other big thing in this episode that I'm surprised. I mean, not surprised, because I had theories about it, and guess what? This episode proved me right. We actually find out that Donald was actually there, like one of the soldiers that bombed Atlanta, which we saw this in the trailer, like, what we saw in the trailer that there was some, like, archive footage of the Atlanta scene from season 2 of the main series, when Shane was getting Laurie and Carl to safety. He was also one of the soldiers that bombed Los Angeles. And if you don't know where I'm going with this, if you've seen Fear the Walking Dead, you'll know that Madison Clark and her family were from Los Angeles, and at the beginning of season 2, it got bombed when they were on the Abigail boat with Victor Strand. And when we saw, like, the fires of Los Angeles in, like, a promo for this series, I assumed, wait, are you trying to tell me that there are some soldiers of the CRM that were responsible for the Los Angeles bombing as well? And, well, I guess my theory was correct. I had the theory that he wasn't there during the bombing of Atlanta, but I assumed he was there during the bombing of Los Angeles, and I was thinking that Beale was there at Atlanta. I could be right, I could be wrong. I think maybe Donald was telling the truth about both of them, but I was just wondering how he managed to go to 2 places at once, or were these bombings at the same time? I'm not exactly sure with the timeline here, but the fact that this was a connection from Atlanta and Los Angeles gives a lot of different connections to the spin-offs and the main series. I mean, we saw this before in, like, Season 5 and Season 7 of Fear the Walking Dead, because the CRM was there as well, and of course we had the Walking Dead World Beyond. But the fact that these old locations that, keep in mind, haven't been in the show for years, like Atlanta and Los Angeles, I'm just so happy that those old season moments had connection, and that this was actually a big twist. I was not expecting that. I thought that was fantastic. Good job on the writings end to connect both spin-offs. So, Rick and Donald keep, like, good partners or anything. A great moment from Andrew Lincoln. Donald has a gun pointing at Rick because Rick attacks him, and the fight was fantastic. I like the way it was choreographed, and Rick actually considers suicide, asks Donald to shoot him in the head because he knows he can't get away. I don't even think a situation like this happened with the Savior storyline. I mean, granted, Rick asked Negan to kill him instead of Carl, but I don't think Rick actually considered suicide during those moments. I think he still kept himself alive so that he can keep his family alive, but he actually considers suicide in this moment. I was so surprised. And again, Andrew Lincoln's performance was amazing. So Rick keeps himself alive, and then he gives up on trying to escape because he knows he can't make his way back, but he still has his family's love in him from Michonne and Judith. That is the reason why he keeps going. So then we discover, like, a bit of a backstory with Rick as well, because Rick explains to Donald that he had, like, this moment where he saw fire in his, like, house when he was a little kid, and his dad, like, was like, how did it go again? His dad was half burnt or anything, and there was something burning these plants, and his dad was like, just because the fire makes it look like it's the end of the world, it's only the beginning. That's a good, like, kind of setup for, like, the whole Walking Dead virus in general. And was talking about something like a farm and somebody saved us at the farm and all that stuff, and they saw darkness in this person or something. That kind of felt like a bit of like a reference to season 2 when Shane was going a bit of a dark path, had some rage, and then like the farm was like overcrowding, but then they fought their way out of the farm. Again, I could be reading too much into this, but I think that Andrew Lincoln was fantastic, and the Donald character as well. And speaking of Donald, let's talk one of the big things in this episode. Donald's dead, guys. Donald is freaking dead. A one-episode character, and usually when it comes to Walking Dead spin-offs, I'm not exactly a big fan of when they have one-episode characters. I think that's mainly because of Fear the Walking Dead, but in this one, I think it kind of works a little bit. I mean, granted, despite the fact that I think that the writing for this was good, I was still pretty upset to see him go, because he was a very well-known and interesting character, and I would have loved to see him survive, but oh well, I guess he's gone. But the actor who played Donald did amazing, okay? I don't know how you can get much better than this. I mean, Andrew Lincoln, like all that stuff, I don't know how you can get better than this. Oh wait, maybe you can, because let's talk about the end of this episode. Let's talk about the elephant in the room in this one. So, okay, I'm just gonna have to let you guys know about this, and I feel like many other people might have to discuss this as well. This was spoiled for us, unfortunately, because, well, okay, the thing that, the fact that they did this at the end of this episode, I assumed that it was just something that was in episode 2, but it happens in episode 1, and I guess they're just showing a different point of sight of view from in episode 2, but episode 2 was spoiled for us, because some Looney Tune from YouTube leaked the whole episode 2 online. Don't watch it. Do not watch those leaks. I don't know why they leaked it online. So I had a feeling that this was going to happen, but I was still happy that it happened at the end of this episode. And what I'm talking about is, I'm really, really happy with this scene. I thought this was a fantastic scene. We actually see the return of Michonne. Rick is fighting against someone who shoots down his helicopter that he's in, and it turns out to be a woman with a sword, and when you hear woman and sword together, you know what that means. This woman takes Rick's mask off, stands back to behold his sight, and she takes her mask off, and it's revealed to be Michonne. So, yes guys, Rick and Michonne have officially reunited. Well, they briefly reunited. I feel like they're going to do something in the next episode, but they reunited in this episode, and I can already tell that Andrew and Danaya are gonna have great scenes together. So that was episode 1 of The Ones Who Live. First things first, that is probably one of my 2 favourite Walking Dead pilot episodes ever. Like, compared to like all the other the shows in the series, this one and the pilot of the main series are both my 2 favourite pilot episodes for a Walking Dead show. Second of all, the cinematography and budget for this episode felt like a movie, so I'm happy that they kept that, because it was going to be a movie, but it turned into a show, but I'm still glad they kept the budget of that alive. And last but not least, Rick and Michonne have returned to the Walking Dead franchise. And honestly, with all the build-up that they behold of us for all these years, wondering when these characters are going to come back, and I'm pretty sure everybody can agree with me, I point out, like, Dan's reviews, because he mentioned this in his review of the first episode. There are no words to describe how great it is to see Rick back again. I am so happy that Andrew Lincoln has returned, and I cannot wait to see more of this show. This was a fantastic pilot episode, and I cannot wait to see more. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I definitely had a lot to say about it, and I hope that we get more soon. So anyway, I'm Daniel, reviewing movies, TV shows, doing videos. So excited to see more from the GOAT of The Walking Dead himself, Rick freaking Grimes. Till then, peace out, man.